So welcome back, everybody. My name's Andrew, and you're watching the Kelley's Country Life. And I tell you what, I think I've finally reached a breaking point in this build to where I'm done. And by done, I mean the price of materials and the availability has been, it's been a thorn in my side throughout this build. It's been insane. I could have never imagined this. And you'll often hear us mention, especially on our live stream, that we've went so far over budget on this home, and it's because, well, the availability of materials, things being up 2, 3, I've even seen some stuff up 500%. And it looks like we're repeating ourselves again. Actually, the only thing that's went down recently was lumber, which I'm pretty well done with lumber. However, I was in Lowe's and Home Depot this week, already flying back through the roof. $66 locally for a piece of plywood. I could not believe it. Here we go again. Metals through the roof, everything else is. So, we're gonna have to make some tough decisions on this home moving forward. We're still gonna build our dream home, but we're getting toward the end. Actually, we're way past our budget. We've saved up a little extra. We're getting toward the end of that. I think we finally reached a pivot point in this build to where we're not gonna cut corners. That's not what I'm gonna do, but some things are gonna have to be held off for just a little while. So one of the biggest holdbacks that I've had is what I'm gonna do on this roof. And I tell you what, I've been measuring and pricing a lot of stuff here lately. With lumber flying back up, plywood going through the roof, metals up 200 to 300%. You've eventually got to reach a point that you say, enough's enough. We're not gonna overspend anymore. We're gonna get our home wrapped up, dry and safe, but things like this porch roof, well, guess what? I think they're just gonna have to wait. So that's been a big holdup for me on finishing this siding, and that's part of what we're gonna jump on today. So I wasn't sure what I was gonna do to the roof and how I wanted to transition my trim that's gotta go all the way up the gable to meet the roof. But now that I think I've decided, we're just going to paint this. There's gonna be a lot of prep work. We're gonna have to pull this wiring back out. We wanna run it in conduit so it looks nice, go with gray boxes. But at the end of the day, we'll have a few $100s in painting this, probably 2 to 3 days worth of prep and painting, and we can move on. That sounds a whole lot better than $3, $4, $5, maybe even $6,000 in materials to deck this, which is what I'm coming up with when I go price a lot of stuff right now. Crazy times we live in. So as much as it hurts to kind of make a decision to, hey, we're just gonna skip over something for now, we're gonna have to make those decisions. We're not gonna get that deck probably as soon as we want, or that pool out here, everything else. And when you spend 10 years of your life saving up money for your dream home, it hurts to see all of your money going into overpriced materials. Materials that cost 3 times now of what they did when you originally budgeted your house. We're experiencing a lot of that. But it is what it is. At the end of the day, we're happy, we're healthy, we're blessed, and we're thankful to have this home. We're gonna get it dried in. We're gonna get things completed inside to where we can move in. But we're just gonna have to hold off on some stuff until, well, money falls in my lap. I don't foresee that happening. Or this inflation bubble pops, because I don't talk about it much on the channel, don't get political, but y'all, we're living in some crazy times. Materials cannot keep costing what they're costing right now, and us making what we're making. Last I checked, your pay didn't go up 200 to 300%, did it? But most of these building materials have, and they're just about impossible to find here lately too, especially in certain sectors, certain parts of the home build. Absolutely crazy. Something that's been bugging me, it's been bothering me, but I think it's time just to make a decision, go for it. Paint the roof, finish this house. We're just gonna have some more projects to do a little further down the road. So a couple of questions that I had recently. One, a viewer said, hey, didn't ever see you check level. I always check level. Even though I do trust these clamps right here, these Malco holders, that doesn't mean your boards aren't uneven and things don't shift as you go up, because it does happen. So usually about every 3 runs, I'll throw a level on there, and I may have to make an 1/8 of an inch adjustment on one end or the other. But every 3 runs, I have noticed, doesn't allow stuff to get out of whack too much. Another question that I just recently got from a viewer was, hey, see you pop a couple of nails in, and then you always hammer them in after the fact. It said, is your gun not adjusted right? Because you can adjust air pressure, and there's also, on this one, a little wheel right here that you can adjust, and it adjusts this safety mechanism in and out and drives the nail deeper or more shallow. That's not the case, because you see this gap where these clamps actually hold this off to give you your overlap, but that doesn't allow the board to cinch tight, because you've got to leave room to lift these clamps up and get them out. Now the board's floppy, so I always go back with a hammer to cinch this up. See how floppy it is right now? Now it's much tighter. I need to shoot more nails in to get it really tight. And like right here, for example, I'm marking studs behind the wall. I know they're every 12 inches on center on this balloon framed wall. That's just the way they had to be for engineering. And I'm thinking about, as I build my house, all these little details and things that I do and time that I take on things. Would I really have gotten that if I had have contracted this house out or subcontracted some of this stuff out? Possibly, yeah. I would hope that somebody that did siding for me would find every stud and install this stuff correctly. But let's be realistic. There's a lot of people out there that cut corners. And typically when you hire somebody as a homeowner to build your home, you don't take the time to educate yourself on what the rules are, the codes, the installation instructions. So you have no idea what type of job that you're getting. I'm not saying all contractors are bad out there, not at all. But it's just one thing I've noticed as I built my home. Plus, look at all the money I'm saving with doing jobs like this. And now, looking at how expensive everything is, I'm so thankful I'm building this house. We are so far over budget, like I mentioned earlier. I don't even honestly know how much I have saved doing the majority of work myself. Yeah, I've subbed some things out. I think by the time I'm getting done with this house, I'm going to talk to a couple people that are locally getting built and look what they're paying per square footage. That's typically how we price our homes around here. I know what it was right before COVID hit. I'm curious to see what it is now. That'll give me a good idea of how much I saved once we calculate the price per square foot at the end of this build here in a few months. Really curious about that. Now back to the nailing. This literally is thousands of hammer strokes over this entire house. Had a few nails that even bent over on me. This wood is so hard on the walls. But I go back and also hit every single nail that I shot in, because I have noticed that really pulls this up. No matter how deep I drove them, how perfect I have set the gun, if I go back and tap these nails in, which takes a few seconds per board, it cinches up tight. And guess what? Now I don't get all that chatter and looseness in my siding. Now these are the cuts that can drive you crazy. So I have to trim out around this hardy trim right here. And this piece I have to notch all the way out up to somewhere in here. Then I have to notch it out back down for around this trim. Same thing on the other side. Notch up and go back around this piece right here. Definitely have to do a lot of thinking and figuring out for trimming. And this is by far my most aggravating wall. second to last wall absolutely complete. Kind of. So I'm not going to bore you all with the rest, but I'd say I'm going to spend the next 2 hours going up top, trimming. I foamed in and sealed any gaps yesterday. Since I'm going to spray the roof, I didn't want any air that can make it inside, since I'm now not going to deck the roof. So I did open cell spray foam everywhere there was a gap. That's also a moisture barrier. I'm going to go up there and trim all that back. Then I'm going to caulk every single joint, as well as around all the windows, all the outlets, any seam. Plus, I've already been spending some time face nailing all of this. So what that means is I'm actually taking my little brad nailer and I'm going along, and if I see any slop anywhere, any gaps, I'm going along and face nailing. And then I'll have to go back and fill all those holes before I paint. So it's kind of tedious. But since this wall right here is going to be a focal point of the house, we're eventually going to have an outdoor kitchen out here, patio, everything else. This wall is going to get stared at more than any other wall that we have. So I want to make sure that I have it looking perfect. All right, so that's a heck of a difference. I'm glad I decided to stay outside today. The plan was to go inside and start furring out the ceiling for the tongue groove pine, because it was supposed to rain all day. It rained this morning, and it's been just letting up. I've been watching the radar. It'll rain right up to us, and then it's gone. It's chilly, the temperature's dropping. We're probably still gonna get some more rain before it's done, but I was able to finish this off. Now I can go put my tools up, and I'll just stay out here with a caulk gun and a little brad nailer and spend, like I said, the next couple of hours getting all this prepped and ready for paint. So the next thing to do is most likely jump inside and prep that ceiling like I was just telling you, because if we ever get some warm days where I can put almost 1,000 square feet of tongue and groove pine out here in the yard, poly coat it, I need it to be relatively warm for it to dry, then we'll start putting up tongue groove ceiling. Meanwhile, hey, we can always start putting siding on this side of the house, although I still need to order a little more. All right, that makes a heck of a difference. I'm getting tired of looking at Tyvek, so I'm so happy to see this, even though it's an old ugly yellow color. It looks so good seeing siding on the house. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Catch you on the next episode.